All right, I got a video for you today that I've been thinking about doing for a little bit, and I want to do a 5-year review video. Looking forward to doing this video today. I am going to do a 5-year review on my Zwift Spin Bike setup. So let's jump into it. Okay, so I've had a lot of questions, comments on my low-cost Zwift Spin Bike setup and overall just my Zwift setup. I've got a lot of people that ask additional questions and some recommendations on how to set it up. Now I've made a couple of videos in that series where I showed the original Zwift Spin Bike setup and why I chose to go with that setup. And then I did a low-cost spin bike setup, which I kind of wish I didn't do because when you do a speed and cadence sensor on a spin bike, it works to the point where you can get on Zwift, but it doesn't really function the way it should. So you really need to, if you're going to use a spin bike, you really need to have the power meter pedals, which can be a little bit costly. So let's get into this video here. Now, the spin bikes that I have are the Sunny Health and Fitness spin bikes, and we're going on 5 years of owning them now. Now, I'll kind of refresh everybody's memory here. I purchased 2 of these spin bikes at the same time, so I have his and hers. I bought one for myself and one for my wife, and so we've had them the same amount of time. Now, as far as maintenance, I have done very little to these bikes. Now, one thing I recommend you do on the spin bike is these pads, these fiber pads. I will soak them once in a while with mineral oil, and that's what you see kind of dripping down here. Sometimes, when you start putting tension on those pads, some of the oil will drip off the pad and drip down. So those will, if you put the mineral oil on the pads, it'll get rid of some of the noise and it'll help it run just a little bit smoother. And then, of course, you can see the PowerTap P1 pedals that I use on my bike. This is what Zwift uses for the cadence and the power going in. And then the chain, let me move around to this other side. So you have this chain cover. Now my screws got some rust on them from the sweat dripping down, and I've wiped this thing down several times and cleaned it. But on my chain, I have only adjusted it 2 times in 5 years. So I pull this off, this cover off these screws all the way around, pull this off, and then there's 2 little, you can't really see them here, but you can see these bolts. There's one here and there's one on this side here, and then you use this here to center this wheel and adjust this chain. So in my 5 years of owning this machine, a great deal of use. I've adjusted it 2 times. Now my wife's over there, she, probably uses it maybe just as much as I do, but not quite the intensity or power output. So I've only adjusted her chain 1 time on her bike. And that includes when I have it off, I go ahead and I put some fresh grease and some lubricant on the chain, get it lubricated up. And so they spin pretty quiet, let me take some of this tension off here. Well, hers is making just a little bit of noise. Let me see how mine sounds. It's a little bit quieter. I might need to consider adjusting her chain again. Now mine has got some you know, rusting going on from the sweat. Now normally I have a towel covered all in this area here, try to prevent as much of the sweat dripping down on the bike as much as possible. But for 5 years now, this bike is still very solid. It works great. As you can see, as I said before in previous videos, I try to run the same saddle that I do on all my bikes. So that's one reason why I have a his and hers, is this bike is set up for her position all the time, and my bike is set up for my position all the time, and of course the saddle that I run on the bike. So that's really about it on the 5-year review. You know, it's still a solid bike. I've had no issues with on it. Nothing has broken on it yet. I can put down 1200, 1300 watt sprints on this thing, and I'm not afraid of breaking it like I am, you know, my regular bicycles. So when it comes to Zwift setup, like I've said before, it's not that I can't put a bike on a trainer, and I have, you know, when I'm traveling, I'll show you, you know, come into the bike shop here again, you know, I've got plenty of bikes. You know, bikes are not an issue, and I've got, you know, 2 trainers that I could put the bike on. But again, it's just one of those things, you know, do I want to deal with breaking a frame, which is what happened with this frame that's back here, is this here Chainstay Broke, which is, this is my Bianchi Ultra road bike. And that broke, and I even broke my Trek Imonda SLR. And luckily that frame I got that one warranted, so that was you know, not so much of an issue, other than, hey, you know, every time I put a bike on a trainer, I break something. So when I do a bike on a trainer now, it's usually going to be warming up for a race or making sure I am not going to do any sprinting on it whatsoever. So these here, I do not worry about sprinting, hard efforts, breaking anything. It's just very, very solid. It works. So here's my 5-year review. I recommend, you know, if you want something that's set up, ready to go, that, you know, I don't have to throw a bike on a trainer. I'm not taking a bike off a trainer. It is just set up and ready to go all the time. All right, that's it for me. That's the Zwift Spin Bike 5-year review. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.